Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Episode 3 of Smite Talk. My name is OctanePro, and welcome, competitive players, new players, casual players. Let's go ahead and phase out this music for you guys. There we go. Excellent. Well, welcome, guys. Do appreciate you guys coming to hang out for Smite Talk. If you guys are joining us for the first time, I do appreciate it. Pretty much, let's go ahead and run through what this show is. If it's the first time you're hanging out, if it's the second time you've seen it, but you're like, not really sure what the show's about. So pretty much, guys, Smite Talk is a weekly show. Airs every Tuesday night at 9:30. So mark your calendars. It's a 45-minute show, and we have preset topics to kind of talk about. And on top of that, I take viewer calls through the entire time. So as you guys can see on the screen, I'm getting better at this, right below there, we have the Skype information for Smite Talk Radio for Skype. So go into Skype, and you don't need to add a contact, guys. You can actually just go ahead and do like call, and you can just put in the contact info and call. And I won't pick up right away, probably talking to somebody else, but then I'll go ahead and pick up the line, and we'll bring you on the show. You can give your opinion on any topic, or you can go ahead and just ask a question. Completely up to you. Could be off topic. You know, you might be like, hey, what are your thoughts on the respawn timers being adjusted late game? You know, doesn't have to be anything we're talking about, but you can sure just come on, butt in and ask a question, or you can go ahead and give your opinion on a topic that we're talking about. So once again, the Skype information is Smite Talk Radio. Usually it takes a little while for the first person to call in, and then it's just like ching, ching, ching. It's got that snowball effect going on. Anyways, on top of that, guys, I want to let you guys know that this version of Smite Talk is also available for you iPhone users and you Android users in the audio-only format as a VOD. So it's going to be offered on YouTube. It's going to be on the iPhone with the iTunes Store, and it's also going to be on Android. If you guys use something like BeyondPod or something like that, you can use like the RSS feed. So keep an eye out. It will be posted on Reddit, and you can catch it there, or go ahead and catch it directly on the YouTube itself. It's available on youtube.com/the-smite-update, where you'll find the Smite Talk podcast, you'll find the Smite Update podcast, and then you'll find a bunch of community content I have over there, a bunch of interviews, stuff like that, of different people within the scene. Furthermore, if you guys do check me out on iTunes, I would love if you guys could go ahead and submit a 5-star review and give your opinion on the show. That helps me out in order to help me move up the ranks on iTunes. So make sure you guys do check that out. Also, if you guys have any questions that, hey, you don't have the ability to call in on Skype, but you have a question that you'd like to submit for future shows or possibly even today, the way to submit a question, if you don't have Skype, but you do have a question or feedback, is email it to smitetalk@gmail.com. Once again, that's smitetalk@gmail.com. And let me go ahead and bring that up. So we have that up and available and ready to go. 1 second here, folks. I will get that going. Alrighty, so we got up what we need there. Good to go. So anyways, on top of that, other things to kind of go over here. Okay, let's close out of that. 1 second here, guys. Bear with me. Oh my goodness. Come on, Willis, work with me. Sorry, guys, I have to log back in here. It like kicked me out. I don't know why. What are you doing? What are you doing to me? All right, guys, bear with me. Anyways, so I'm trying to log out of one Gmail account and log back into another one, and it's like, nope, don't want to let you. I kind of look like the Miz. Interesting. All right, anyways, I'm getting up the notes. Yes, I have notes for every show. So anyways, finally, right before we start to jump into this week's topic discussions, I want to go ahead and promote one of the Smite Talk sponsors. So Smite Talk is proudly sponsored by Tweaked Audio. Go over to Tweaked Audio for high-performance, noise-reducing gaming earbuds. That's what I'm using here. Really, really sexy. It has no tangle cord. It's noise-reducing, which is really nice. And the cool thing about these earbuds is that if you use the promo code OctanePro on their website, it'll take the earbuds from around $30 down to $16. On top of that, you get free shipping anywhere in the world. So it almost cuts it in half. So use the promo code OctanePro, and then you get free shipping anywhere in the world. And the best part about this sponsor is, guys, it's a lifetime warranty. Lifetime warranty on earbuds. So if you step on them, your dog eats them, you get a lifetime warranty. So go check that out today, tweakedaudio.com. I'll go ahead and put it in chat for you guys, and we'll be good to go there. Let me go ahead and type it in chat. Tweaked audio. And the information will pop up here, and you'll have that available. So once again, special shout-outs and thank you to tweakedaudio.com for sponsoring this episode of Smite Talk. So guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into our first discussion. First discussion here is something that I think everybody looked at today, was the new god Mercury. So if you guys have opinions on him, please go ahead and feel free to call in. I'm using, by the way, side chat, I'm using the Parkour earbuds, Parkour. So anyways, if you guys have opinions on Mercury, we got a chance. We saw Hi-Rez Bart go ahead and introduce Mercury as the newest god that will be coming out tomorrow, Wednesday, September 2nd. And some really cool things about Mercury. So if you guys have thoughts on him, we're going to kind of go over what was just released. But if you have any questions, go ahead and send me a Skype message. It's directly below, Smite Talk Radio. Just go ahead and call in. Say, you and I can talk. You'll be live on the air here. And let's talk about it. Don't be shy. I don't mind. Looks like we have one caller calling in. Let's go ahead and take that call. Hey, Polar, how's it going, man?
Good.
Well, thanks for calling in. Love the opportunity that you're calling back week in, week out. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a wonderful show.
So, what do you want to talk about?
Personally, my thoughts on Mercury is that we still... I know lots of people can speculate on what role he'd be best at and how he's going to be played, but when Bart showed him, he only showed him at about level 20, so he might be an overly squishy god, and the counter to that is just having a lot of movement speed and attack speed. So I just want everyone to sort of understand that you can't really base your opinions right off from what Bart does in a stream, because they have all the console commands and everything.
Correct. Yeah. If you guys aren't familiar, when Bart goes ahead and does do the patch review, he has a limited amount of time to go ahead and introduce the gods and the patch changes. So he will go ahead and log into a game like a Conquest or a Joust or whatever, and then he has the ability with having the console available to him to go ahead and make his god instantly level 20, give him lots and lots of abilities and stuff like that, and stats and. So a lot of the stuff you see is just for demonstration purposes, isn't necessarily extremely realistic. And you have a very good point there, Polar. It's kind of interesting with Mercury. We'll go over in the next few minutes the different abilities he has, but I guess I'll throw this over to you first, Polar. What ability stands out to you that you saw today?
Mostly his ult, because I can see it being a very good escape, as well as, let's say, if you're trying to gank from the jungle. I mean, that's just great, because if it sort of seems to have a wide-ish path, so you pretty much are almost guaranteed to hit there. As well as, I think, his personal buff with the attack speed is another one of his good points. But if he almost does no damage, it's not really worth it. Well,
sure. I mean, a big thing to talk about, guys, with his ultimate is called Sonic Boom. And pretty much what it is he kind of crouches down a little bit, and it takes some time to build up. But it allows him to go up to 500 feet, which is just more than the length of the towers. I think the towers is 595 or 495, and he goes just a little bit farther, about at 500 feet. The nice thing is a lot of the times when you're playing Smite, you'll go ahead and as a god, if you have an ultimate that allows you to go up in the air, then you'll tower dive up in the air to pick off a god that's barely any health in the process of warping back within tower range. Someone like Thor or Apollo or Thanatos. But now what you do is you have the ability on the ground to go from your tower instantly to their tower, right on top of them, and go ahead and wipe them out and almost get that gank off. The downside is exactly what Polar talked about there, is you're almost overcommitting to a degree because you're so squishy. This isn't a guy that's a bruiser. He's an assassin type of style god, so he's awfully squishy. Something like Thanatos, he has the ability to get health back. When he is attacking, whereas with Mercury, it's a completely different situation. So when you do commit to an ultimate, you're pretty much committing all in. So very good point there. Anything else you want to talk about tonight, sir?
Not directly related to the game, but one thing quickly. I know that last episode you're having some problems with audio.
Yep.
And I found a sort of solution for that, and it's not using Skype. There's a program called Razer Comms, which is by Razer and everything, and it's sort of video game specific Skype, and it's only voice, but I've had absolutely no problems with it, and I don't have the best internet in the world, and I would recommend it. You can create specific groups so people join in, and you can select them to talk, and I thought it might work out very well for the show.
Definitely. If I continue to have issues, like I had it last week, the week before that I didn't. So if I continue to have issues, I'll definitely take a closer look at it, and I appreciate you being concerned about the show. That's awesome, man.
Yep. Thanks for doing the show.
No problem. You have a good night.
You too.
All right, well, thanks to Polar Gaming for calling in there. Once again, guys, super easy, super simple. Just go ahead and call in. The info is right over here, Smite Talk Radio. Feel free to call in and talk about any of the subjects that we're going to talk about today or anything else that you'd like. So let's go ahead and dive in. As you can see, we have our image. Where are you? You're over here. There you are. We have our image right here of Mercury, the new god that's introduced. He is an assassin. We'll be getting introduced tomorrow morning. I guess they said they're going to be patching right about 4:30. So pretty cool to see there. Also, on top of that, guys, want to go ahead and point out that let's go ahead and go over some of the abilities of Mercury if you guys didn't get an opportunity, and we'll kind of talk about it. If those of you in chat asking for the patch notes, here they are. So, Mercury, his passive is fastest god alive. For every 1 foot he travels, Mercury gains 0.1% physical power bonus up to 50%. So if you're really interested to see like how long this usually takes, we didn't really get a chance to see Hi-Rez playing Mercury at a low level for a long amount of time. So I'd be interested to see like when you come out of the gates, how long does it take you to get to that 50% mark? Because every foot is 0.1. So I'm really interested to see, in the very beginning, as Mercury, is your sole purpose going to be just running around just to get that additional distance in order to go ahead and actually, have that 50% max when it comes down to the physical power bonus. So we'll have to take a look. Looks like we have another caller in here. Let's go ahead and take our second caller. And 1 sec here, guys. Just going to go ahead and bring him in and see what he wants to talk about today. Let's see if he answers. Hey, Jacob, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. So what do you want to talk about today?
I got a few questions for you.
Sure.
One is the clan thing. I try to make a clan to where I can invite like a whole bunch of people that I play with, like in games and stuff. Because I like to have like pre-mades made when I get on, just with clan mates.
Yep.
But for some reason, they only allow 9 people to join.
Correct. What's going on there? And I was actually, I don't know, were you around when they first introduced clans, or are you a little bit newer to the game?
Actually, I think I started about 5 months ago, I want to say.
Okay. So it could have been, I think it was a little bit before that, but I'm not exactly sure on the exact time period. But pretty much what clans is it's a direct result of them originally calling it teams. So there wasn't necessarily a out of the game, like if you're out of conquest or whatever, there wasn't exactly like a grouping system. And people wanted an opportunity to hang out and have the ability to communicate as a small little group. Exactly what you're talking about. And so they introduced teams into the game. But what they found was that, okay, with teams, the whole purpose of a team was to try to coordinate like pre-mades. They were trying to promote pre-mades as much as they could, which is fine and great. But outside of pre-mades, there's more to the game than just pre-mades. There's a whole social atmosphere to it, and that's exactly what you're talking about. And so they called it teams, and they allowed 9 people on the team roster, and they kind of had a few features that you see in other games. I'm going to throw out the example of World of Warcraft. They had the ability to do like a message of the day and different ranks with it and stuff like that. And it wasn't the best naming convention because people were using it in the same format that you're talking about, a clan. The ability in order to, invite your friends to one area, kind of have a social atmosphere. Maybe you have a clan chat room that you could chat in a bunch. And the idea is there, and I completely agree with you, but they're still stuck on that mindset of like team versus clan. And I agree, we need to rip off that 9 player max and go ahead and bump it up to something like 50 or something like that. Because I love to see that opportunity where we could start to have communities start to come together within Smite and not limit it to these 9-person teams.
Yeah, that would definitely be a lot better in my opinion.
What other questions you got, sir?
I just wanted to see if they had any nerfs or buffs for Xbalanque or Raw coming out in the new patch.
My understanding is we see nothing actually for Xbalanque, and I can understand your nerf demand. Trust me, I raged plenty this past week and actually playing an arena versus Xbalanque. So level 20 with him, it's like endless mana, and it's just like bing, 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 dead, bing, 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 dead. It's like, oh my gosh. As for, you're talking about a nerf with Ra or a buff with Ra?
Either one, is there a buff or is there a nerf for him?
There is nothing actually coming out for Ra, coming out tomorrow whatsoever. They haven't, from what I've noticed, they haven't really touched Ra in a little while. And it's kind of interesting how he's been creeping back into the competitive scene more and more. I was reviewing some of the North American and EU games that occurred this past weekend on Saturday and Sunday, and I was seeing a lot more Ra, and I was really confused why, because we haven't seen a ton of changes made to him that automatically makes him like super viable. But yeah, no changes yet. What are your thoughts on Ra? Do you think we need to see some changes to Ra?
It's one of my favorite gods of all time is Raw. I'm really good with him. I think the last time we talked was on your first episode when he came out. I asked you the same question because he had a nerf to his heals, I believe.
That's correct. That's correct. That's right.
Yeah, and that's when Creeping Curse came out, and I was like, oh, wow, that's definitely going to change the game.
Yep.
But actually, I've been playing, and I haven't seen a lot of people actually use it for some reason. I don't know if it's because it's brand new still or people just don't know how to use it. But, yeah, I'm really surprised about I haven't seen a lot of people use it.
Yeah, you're talking about the Celestial Beam, right?
Yeah.
With his ability to heal, and they went ahead and made some alterations to it. That was a few weeks ago where they went ahead and made a change to Ra, where they took off the debuff for the protection on it, so that it kind of like they got rid of that. And then on top of that, they added in the new ability for Creeping Curse in order to counter that heal, so that if you were an enemy and you used that Creeping Curse ability on one of the top tier Creeping Curses, that it would completely cancel out any healing done for a short period of time. So those of you folks who weren't familiar, that's exactly what we're talking about here. So interesting. I do agree. I don't know why more and more. I mean, I'm not seeing Ra played as much in casual play, and by all means, I am not a competitive player. I'm definitely a casual player. But for people in a competitive atmosphere, I'm seeing Ra being picked up more and more now. So we'll have to see how things turn out, and I'd love for you to call in on a future episode, and maybe we could talk about Ra once we start to see some changes going on.
Yeah, man, sounds good. I just had one more question.
No, please, go for it.
It was, how many more gods do you think are going to be coming out before beta ends?
My guess, in all honesty, is that we're going to see Smite. My guess here, just a guess. I have no credit from Hi-Rez or anything. Would be, I'm going to guess Q2 of 2014. And I don't think that they're set on a certain number of gods, because if we look back, like, and I've been around for over a year now playing Smite, they weren't necessarily, like, at first they were like, okay, like 40 gods, that's what we're aiming for, nonchalantly, without really announcing it, to the public completely. But everybody kind of knew it. Like, it was kind of that discussion with the god packs and everything. And they hit 40 gods, and 40 was nothing. Like nothing. Like, oh my gosh. So, like, since then, they've been doing a lot to the game. And we saw huge overhauls to the maps left and right. I mean, Conquest map has gotten an overhaul at least 6 or 7 times, if not more, since it first came out. We're seeing a whole bunch of gods coming out now. Abilities have been completely altered left and right all over the spectrum. So I don't think we're there yet. I think part of that is the marketing and the advertising part of it. They just went ahead and partnered up with Tencent, and now they're going to be opening up the beta in Asia. Well, they want some time. They don't want to all of a sudden think of it. Like, they said they're going to open up the beta in Asia in October, so sometime this month. They're gonna want more than just a few months in beta in a whole separate region. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting.
Yeah. Any other questions you have?
I think that's it, man. I appreciate your time.
No problem. Thanks for calling in, and feel free to call in the future.
All right, thanks, man.
No problem. All right, let's go ahead and take another call there. Hey, man, welcome to the Smite Update or Smite Talk. How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Good. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, there's actually a couple things. One, kind of bouncing off the first,
Please.
First thing about Mercury is kind of towards the end of Bart's stream, he was putting him into like a conquest practice thing.
Yep.
He was trying him out jungle,
and
it looked like he was really, really weak with Bumba's mask.
Yep.
Just because he's really super squishy, but he got Death's Toll, and with his Mercury's one, he's able to hit the 3 targets and get 15 health every time he uses it. So it looks like he might be a little bit of a stronger jungler.
Yeah.
then but his tactics are going to kind of have to be switched from Bumba's mask, which may or may not hurt him right off the bat because he's going to have to need a lot of help in the jungle.
So did he have Bumba's and also Death's Toll, or no, just had Death's Toll?
No, he had just had Death's Toll. He started with Bumba's mask. It wasn't working out. He almost died a couple times, and then he went back and just bought Death's Toll, and it worked out a lot better. And also, I think Mercury's going to be kind of one of those gods where he's not going to be in team fights right away, but his ult is going to be something that's going to get him into team fights and really disrupt it because...
Oh my gosh, I know, right?
Yeah, because of that disorient, and it's going to turn the players a different way. I mean, that's just going to be so valuable to a team fight.
Yeah, I mean, first off, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and comment off of the Death's Toll thing. When we looked at Thanatos, which is interesting because we're seeing 2 assassins introduced back to back. It was kind of interesting when Thanatos came out. Death's Toll was like a must because of the amount of damage that he took, and that health back was amazing and allowed him to have some sustain. Well, that same thing is coming across here, which makes sense because we're seeing assassins, and it's kind of that play type where they're super squishy, they can burst like a mother, but they take a lot of damage, and that's a good point. It's a shame though that you're so reliant on such a Death's Toll ability. With jungling, I'd like to see more items out there that give you that return on health compared to just Death's Toll. And I'd like to see more and more of that because Death's Toll's nice, but it's like I'd hate to automatically where it's like, okay, I'm an assassin, I have to go with Death's Toll. I would like to see more out there to be a little bit more critiqued per god. But onto your second point there with Mercury on his ultimate ability called Sonic Boom. Those of you guys just joining us not completely familiar with his ultimate that was kind of discussed today. He goes ahead and kind of crouches down, loads up, and then he has the ability to instantly shoot across the map 500 feet, which is just a little bit more than a tower, about 5 feet more. And he kind of goes there, hits it there, and when he gets to the very end, there's like a little bit of an AoE effect there. But the big thing there, and that's exactly what our caller's talking about here, is as he shoots across the map, it's not a teleport. It's actually him moving at a sonic boom across the map, and he deals damage to anybody in his wake, along with disorienting them and putting them in the opposite direction. So it's almost like you ran past them so fast that they started spinning, and you just look the other way. As you talked about there, he has 2 different kind of roles, per se, in a team fight. First is the CC. That's exactly what that is. It's a CC. So it's first as a CC, and then he also is a chaser. Whereas like Thor with his ultimate is a chaser. Apollo, he is a chaser. He goes ahead and goes to grab somebody who has gotten away from a team fight, or goes ahead and tower dives within lane. So very, very good point. What are thoughts you have about Mercury?
Well, I'm actually wondering if he would almost be better off as a bruiser. And the reason why I say that is because of his 3. His 3 just does so much with the crowd control. He can literally he can reposition the enemy wherever he wants, directly around him. I mean, I'm almost wondering if he wouldn't be as good in the jungle, and he might be better maybe even in a solo lane. Sure.
And those of you guys aren't familiar, our caller here is talking about Special Delivery. It is Mercury's 3rd ability. What he does is he moves forward very quickly, grabs you or a minion, and spins really quickly, and then can toss you in any direction. So he can either toss you away from a team fight, if you need to use it as a defensive move to defend a teammate, or he can use it as an offensive fight. So imagine like a Sobek, where he could charge forward and grab you and toss you back, but he could toss you in any direction he wants. So he could toss you towards the jungle where a gank's coming on. He could toss you into an additional CC follow-up coming in. He could toss you into like an Anubis Mummify or something like that. And sometimes you see it where somebody gets tossed by a Sobek and they're melted before they hit the ground. This exact thing can come about. But as our caller is talking about here, it takes some commitment. He has to commit into battle, like directly into battle. And what it reminds me of is kind of like with Loki. Loki has to commit into the fight directly on top of a person in order to do the damage. So there is that whole assassin commitment, which is needed. So I can see why, because he's so squishy, whereas you could melt him while he's doing this, or melt him during his fast approach, depending on if you catch him off guard. Thankfully, he isn't CC immune during this. But That's a very good point. We'll have to see though if he's too squishy to even be able to use this ability, or if it fits very well with his assassin kit. Any other questions you got, sir?
Well, I actually kind of wanted to talk about a few of the new items.
Go for it. Go for it.
Magi's Blessing, the crowd control was increased from 10, 20, 30% to 10, 25, and 40%.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if that is going to be a must-have for tanks now, and not buy boots, buy maybe a witch stone or something to get some movement speed, just because the CC reduction, the cap is 40%, and you can now reach that with just Magi's Blessing. And it gives you a ton of health. And then Hide of the Urchin, it's another tier off of Hide of the Leviathan.
Yep.
And the new passive is you gain 2 protections for each god kill or assist for maximum of 10 stacks.
Yep.
So that is 65 physical and magical protection plus 250 health and 250 mana. And I'm wondering if these items are just going to switch into absolute must-haves, because those are such strong passives.
Correct, and I completely agree. And what we're starting to see more and more of is these items that are more directed towards tanks. For example, in the past, we've always seen tanks have been such hybrid gods, where you can go a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you can get by. Well, now what we're seeing here is some of these items that are starting to come out are must-haves, which is kind of cool to have. Whereas with a tank, it's okay, no-brainer, Hide of the Urchin, I have to have it. And because the passive is amazing, as you talked about. Plus 2 protections for each god kill or assist stacks up to 10. Well, as a tank, you're staying alive so much and so long that you should be at 10 stacks a majority of the time. Now, granted, out of the gate is not necessarily there, but this is at a tier 3 situation where it's called Hide of the Urchin. So I completely agree with you. I guess I'll throw this back to you, actually. Do you like the idea that Hi-Rez is starting to critique some of these items to be very must-haves, or do you like the option where you have a choice? I mean, now granted you have that choice, but the must-haves, if they're there, it's a no-brainer.
Well, I mean, I think it's just about balance, because right now, Sovereignty is just a must-have because of the aura on your teammates. I mean, the extra 20 physical and magical resistance for your other teammates that are around you, it's just one of those items that's a must-have. So I like that they have those, but I like a variety of those, which I think is awesome. So for me now, I would almost even go into Hide of the Urchin first. But I mean, so I guess to answer your question, yeah, I do like that they have these must-haves, but I also don't like cookie cutter builds.
Exactly.
So having 2 to 3 items in a build that are must-haves, I think is awesome, but then the rest is completely situational.
Sure. And I swear you must be listening to my other shows, because this is something I preach all the time, where I have a new player shoot me an email, which I don't mind, guys. Don't get me wrong, an email or a Twitch message, or hit me up in game and go, what is a great build for Han Bats? And I almost called him Song Wukong, by the way. Han Bats. And I'm like, there is not a great build. Because as you just talked about there, and I can't push it enough, even in new players, the first few items, 2, 3 items max, are kind of a norm. There are some items out there which are great, but it all comes down to what you're playing. Are you playing a Han Bats in lane? Are you playing a Han Bats in jungle? What are your teammates? What type of items are they getting? How is it going to benefit you? And then as you get to your second or third item, it's all situational. What are you running into in the game that you need some defense on? What are you running into that you don't have to do as much defense? You can do a little bit more offensive abilities. Who's your lane partner? What is he offering? So I completely agree with you, 100%. I'm so happy that you said that. It's all situational.
Yeah. And then there's just one more thing about
Please take your time.
This new item, Aussie. It's a new tier 3 item. I'm not even sure what item it's for, but it's costs 1,850 gold, 15% physical or magical lifesteal, whichever one you are, plus 30% attack speed, and then the passive is basically Kali's passive. So my question is this too strong? Because what we're looking at right now is most, let's say, ranged ADCs. They get an item for attack speed, and most of the time they'll get Devourer's Gloves or Bloodforge or something to that effect. Now we basically have Soul Eater and Fatalis in one item. That's basically, they just pretty much merged those two items.
Correct.
Is that too strong?
I can't recall if this is the exact item that I heard Hi-Rez talk about, where he was like, I don't remember testing this. Well, we'll have to see how it works out. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, we'll have to see how it works out. It's going to be one of those items where it's like in tomorrow on Wednesday, and then Thursday morning, it's like hot fixed.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
So we'll definitely have to see. Any other questions or comments you'd like to make tonight?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you calling in. Excellent questions. I do appreciate it. And please feel free to call in the future.
Yeah, no problem, Octane. Thanks, man.
Thank you. You have a good night. All right, guys. So we're going to continue on. Feel free to call in. Great calls so far. The Skype info is Smite Talk Radio. I appreciate you guys calling in so far. As you guys saw right there, you can call in about anything. I don't care. Just call in. Let's talk about it. So I'm going to continue going through some of the stuff with Mercury. We talked about his passive, where he goes ahead and gains a bonus to his physical power with every 0.1% feet travel. On top of that, his first ability is Made You Look. And I'm actually liking some of the naming conventions that Hi-Rez is starting to use for some of these abilities. It's kind of funny, kind of cool that they're kind of moving into it. So on top of that, Made You Look is Mercury, moves in the blink of an eye. So it's a quick motion. So there is the movement there. So there is an opportunity. It's not a teleport. It's a movement. He moves in a blink of an eye, dealing 1 melee attack to every enemy within a target area. So if you guys saw on stream today, and maybe you didn't, maybe you were working or didn't have time, you could go ahead and see a ring on the ground in front of you. You know, your indicator, your target indicator, where you want to cast it. And then you go ahead and click, and he will go ahead and he'll, in a blink of an eye, move directly in that direction very fast, do a bunch of damage, ding, 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 and then shoot back. And as it says here, it deals melee attack to every enemy within the target area. Each hit is considered a basic attack. So it's very, very important. It's a basic attack. May trigger item effects and also critical hit. So this is something where getting proxy items that do proc, very, very important. So items like Rage or Fatalis are super, super important early game because, Made You Look is definitely something you're going to get early game. It doesn't cause you to super overcommit, everything like that. What I'm really interested to see moving forward is that I want to go ahead and see, what type of CC is available during this ability. Made You Look. It says nothing about crowd control. So crowd control should be effective. So in reality, if you see this coming, and I haven't played against him, I don't know how fast this is. Can you CC it? Can you all of a sudden stop it and then he's stuck in his tracks and you can go ahead and damage him? Because that would make sense because he is an assassin. So he is overcommitting, can do a ton of damage, but if he gets out, it was well worth it. So a lot of these abilities, guys, you have to keep in mind, they sound awesome, and they sound OP, or overpowered. OP also stands for OctanePro. Come on now. OP overpowered. Come on now. That's why I went with it. Anyways, a lot of them sound very strong, but you have to keep in mind he's an assassin. He's super squishy. You get that CC on him right away, you stun him, he's so screwed. So keep that in mind. Let's see here. Any other callers? Let's see what we got here. We do have another caller. Let's go ahead and take this call. Hey, man. How's it going? Thanks for calling on Smite Talk.
Thank you. Yeah, Cenk here again.
How's it going? Yeah, awesome. What questions do you have, or what do you want to talk about tonight?
All right. Well, I'm really happy about Chang'e. I'm really glad that 0.2 seconds. I know Bart makes it sound like it's no big deal.
Yep.
I disagree.
Okay.
When it was 1.4, I felt it was overpowered, and I literally rode that bus till the wheels fall off. So I'm really excited to see it come back.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. Hi-Rez has been getting better and better with their balance, and what I mean by that is one patch they go ahead and turn the knob and they jump to 1.4, as you talked about there. But then they go ahead and make that adjustment, down. They're like, okay, it's too much. We know it's too much. But the big thing is, what I've noticed is Hi-Rez seems to be like sitting right around this 1 second mark. So I'm actually really surprised that they actually moved it from 1 second to 1.2 because so many things are like 1 second right now. Like, for example, the new god Mercury. His stun ability on his ultimate, Sonic Boom, is 1 second. Will we see it up to 1.2? Maybe, maybe not. But it's kind of cool that we're seeing Hi-Rez put a lot of time into these really small critiques. Because as you said right there, it's extremely relevant. You could see it, the difference in just 0.2 seconds. So really cool point there.
Definitely. I do like the troll of, when you do your ultimate on Mercury, spin and face another direction.
Yep.
That's a great troll ability.
Yep.
But you kind of brought up something on his one, the made you look as far as like, is it possible to CC him? And that's a great theoretical question. More importantly, though, he's neither in his place nor at that place for like a quarter second. It almost looks like, you know what I mean? Is he immune to damage? Is he immune to CC? Is he immune to all abilities? Can he avoid an Ao Kuang ult? You know what I mean? Like these are great questions which are yet to be seen and weren't really went into.
Yes, correct. That wasn't really divulged. It's kind of interesting because as I talked about before, like Hi-Rez Bart, which those of you guys that don't know, I just completed an interview with him, like an hour-long interview. It'll be up on Reddit tomorrow, so make sure you check it out. But on a side note, just talking about Hi-Rez Bart there, I had to plug it, sorry. But on top of that, he has a small window of opportunity to go over the patch notes. And what I'd like to, it would be nice, and maybe I'll have to recommend this to him, is to have, like, Hi-Rez Kelly or Erez or somebody be able to jump into the dev client and be able to test out some of these things. And not necessarily test out, because they've already tested it, but demo some of the things. Exactly what you're talking about. Because when they come out with a new god, they show all of the benefits to it. And they show, okay, you can go ahead and here's this ability, this ability, this ability. Well, it's like, okay, great, but let's see that in action versus another god. Exactly what you're talking about. Like if he's going against Ymir and he uses his Frost Breath and stuns him. Okay, this ability is awesome and very good, but to a god that has CC, if they can go ahead and learn to counter it just by playing against that god, we should be able to see that. So that's a really good point. I think we'll see a ton of it tomorrow, and I think the floodgates will open about it tomorrow, but it would be cool to see that in the patch notes because he does have several hours to go ahead and show it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I understand the whole point of that little show is it's a tease.
Yep.
You're not supposed to get a whole lot of everything.
Yep.
I'm not the biggest Bart fan, so if it was a different host, I might like it a little better. But it's a good idea. I like that idea behind the show, and those are all my questions. So thank you very much. You have a good one.
Thanks, man. You have a good night. Alrighty, 1 second here, guys. Close out of that. There we go. Okay, so jumping back to what we're talking about, I'll take a few more calls in a second. I just saw in chat somebody posted that Hi-Rez had gone ahead and put up my video. I've started another show, guys. I'm just going to kind of jump in. I started a third show, partnering with Hi-Rez Studios, actually, called the post-game wrap-up or post-game report. And it's going to be every week on Sundays, but it'll be up on their YouTube, Hi-Rez Studios YouTube. Somebody posted it in chat, so thank you. I didn't even know they put it up on YouTube already. It was the first show. Kind of went okay. I'm not thrilled with it, but I'm going to make it better this upcoming week. But it's pretty much a wrap-up and kind of esports type of ESPN-style wrap-up on everything. So check it out. The link was put in chat. Pretty cool. So anyways, we're still talking about Mercury, and we're like 30 minutes into the show. Everybody loves talking about him. We have another caller. Let's go ahead and take his call. Hey, man, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, so what do you want to talk about tonight?
I guess talk about Mercury's ultimate.
Sure, go for it.
Now, you said it's actually a movement. So
yes,
his passive actually gains him that bonus.
Yep.
So basically, do you think that his ultimate would actually contribute to that bonus, and then the first champion hit would actually take that additional damage?
Ah, I see what you're talking about. So can they stack together properly?
Right.
And if he takes that. The way it looks, I would think so. I mean, the way I'm reading it and understanding it, and those of you guys that aren't familiar, we're talking about the fact that with every movement that Mercury makes, he gains 0.1% physical power bonus up to 50%. So that's a 50% physical power bonus. And what our caller here is talking about is when he uses his ultimate Sonic Boom and moves across the map like crazy, that 500 feet, he's moving across the map. He's not teleporting. So he goes ahead and does damage in that wake. And what he's talking about here, our caller is, excuse me, right off the back it says here, and I'm reading the patch notes, he does damage, let's say 200. Well, on top of that 200 is also going to be that 50% physical power bonus. So I would think it's going to stack. And I think it's going to come down to people doing the proper testing to determine it. But to me, it should stack because your passive should affect all your abilities moving forward.
Yeah, right.
What other questions you got? What are we going to talk about?
I don't think I have any other questions. I think that was my main concern or kind of guess on his ultimate.
Sure.
But I guess that's it.
Well, awesome, man. I mean, if you have an opportunity and you do figure it out and look into it or hear anything about it, feel free to call in next show next week and let's talk about it and see what we find out, because I'd love to hear if this was confirmed or not.
Okay, sure.
All right, man. You have a good night.
You too.
Alrighty, awesome. I love callers. Callers. All right, let's take another call here. Hey, Justin, welcome to Smite Talk. How's it going? Hello? Nobody's there. Okay, next, moving on. Another call here from Thomas. Let's go ahead and talk to Thomas. Let's go ahead and call him. He called in, and then I didn't answer. So let's go ahead and call him back. Hey, Thomas, how's it going? Hello.
Oh, pretty good. How about you?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Welcome to Smite Talk. What do you want to talk about?
First off, in regards to the previous caller about the 50% increase from his passive.
Yep.
It does not stack.
Oh, it does not. Was this confirmed today on stream?
Yes, it was confirmed today on stream.
Oh. What are your thoughts on that?
Is it only affects his first actually melee hit. First thing I don't like is he's able to ulti a clear across the map.
Mm-hmm.
That's a major problem. Because I see like major abuse of that.
Well, I guess my thought is, and I'll throw this back to you, is what is the difference between him using that and Thor or Apollo using his ability? Because it's kind of the same thing. It's just on land where you're actually more susceptible to die or take damage during your ultimate.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're not able to like jump all the way through from one tower clear to the other tower without any problems.
The only one that could do that, I guess, would be Apollo with full mana.
Well, yeah, Apollo is able to do it with the whole map, but with mana.
Correct.
And Mercury doesn't work that way. He doesn't use his mana. It's a straight ability just going all the way across.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the fact of it working the same way as Apollo with the distance? It's kind of that huge commitment. Like
it's a big, long, huge commitment. Yeah,
yep.
But the main reason why I say that it's going to get abused a lot is the second that he goes to like, if he's able to make it from like one part of the jungle, he can clear all the way to the other tower without ever getting. If he's actually unCCable during that, yeah, that's a big issue.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure he will be. Yeah. I mean, and that's what I'm interested to see how he plays out. This is one of those gods where he's going to be out tomorrow, and I'm really eager to see if this Sonic Boom ability is too good, too strong. We've had gods like that. I mean, we've had gods where, look at Ares. I mean, Jesus, when Ares came out, he was so good. It was like the birth of Aegis and Beads, all because of really, I mean, granted they were out ahead of time, but it wasn't a must-have. Once Ares came along, his ultimate was so good, it went ahead and pushed you to have those must-have items. So with his Sonic Boom, it might be that case. I'm not really sure, but I like your thoughts on kind of theory crafting it and bringing it up because it is a good point. You're the first person so far to be like, it's a little overpowered. It might cause some problems. I agree. My thought there is it would be even more overpowered if you could use it in the jungle and control it and go around like rocks and stuff like that compared to only being able to go in a straight line. So thankfully, it's not that good.
Yeah, but you can in the right hand, somebody can actually kind of get most of the straight line to where they're almost to the straight tower without an issue.
Correct. Oh yeah, I completely agree. You can go from one tower to another, and so you're pretty much diving directly in on that. So I completely agree with you there. My thought is on this topic at least. Call back next week and let's talk about it and see what we find out. And we could go ahead and laugh about how overpowered it is and how frustrated we are about it. Or we could go ahead and go, they hotfixed it the next day. We told you so.
Yeah, hopefully.
What other questions you have or discussions you got?
That's pretty much it. I mostly wanted to comment back on the person on the last call-in, letting y'all know about the 50% passive not stacking.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate it, man. You have a good night.
Y'all too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys. So we didn't even get through all of Mercury's abilities. Let's go ahead and dive into it. But feel free to call in. I don't care. We can talk about Mercury all night. So anyways, we talked about his passive and made you look. We've talked about Sonic Boom like a million times. His second ability is Maximum Velocity. And this is kind of like Odin, like we get like a buff with it, and Thanatos with a buff with his second ability. Mercury increases his attack speed, ignoring slow, and root effect. So this is like an Odin buff mixed with, or his Odin ability mixed with like a Chang'e ability. So let me read it off again. Mercury increases his attack speed, ignoring slow and root effects for the duration. His attack speed goes 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And the duration starts out at early game at 3, and then at late game is at 5 seconds. So pretty cool. Cooldown at late game is like 14 seconds. I mean, oh my gosh, you could be like spamming almost your maximum velocity. Bing, 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 get out of everything. Your attack speed is kind of maxed out there, like all the time. So that's his second ability. And then his third ability is, which we talked about with one of the callers, is Special Delivery, where he goes ahead and spins around. So he shoots forward, grabs you, spins around, and then tosses you in any direction you want. The duration is for 1 second. So pretty much you kind of have to know where you're tossing it, like as soon as possible. So those are the 4 different abilities of Mercury, along with his passive, which is pretty crazy. A lot of discussion going on in chat about Mercury. I'm really happy to see that. If you guys have any additional thoughts, please go ahead and call in. I think I got all of our callers so far. So that's pretty good, guys. Moving on, we're going to go ahead, and if there aren't any more callers about Mercury, we'll see. Give it a second. Give it a second. We're going to go ahead and talk about some of the new items. So let's go ahead and swap up here. We'll change directions. But if you guys want to go back to Mercury, just go ahead and call in, and let's talk about it. Also, guys, if you're interested and want to go ahead and have a question that you want me to bring up on the next show of the Smite Talk, go ahead and email it, smitetalk@gmail.com. Once again, smitetalk@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and take a drink here. My giant water goblet. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the new items, and then we'll jump to some of the god changes before we go ahead and wrap up the show for tonight. So jumping into some of the item changes, I'll go ahead and post the patch notes in chat if you guys are interested. Go ahead and check it out. Also, guys, we'll be doing the gem code at the end of the show. So if you want to win 400 gems, hang out. The show is only going to be about an hour, hour and 10 minutes, maybe max. We started at 9:30, so gem code coming up here shortly. So talking about some of the new items, we have, I'm not sure about the pronunciation, Asai, I don't know, Azzy. This is a new 3-tier item. It costs 1850 gold, and the premise of it is physical, lifesteal, and magical. So you get a little bit of both, and you get attack speed from this. So right off the bat, just reading this item, attack speed, physical lifesteal, magical lifesteal, definitely a really cool item to have on some ADs. An item great for somebody like Arachne. But on top of that, you are if you're below 25% health, you gain an additional 25% physical and magical lifesteal for 5 seconds. So kind of something we talked about, like same type of premise with like Kali, same type of idea there. Kind of a cool item. Glad to see more lifesteal items coming into the game, especially one that not only gives you physical, but also magical lifesteal. So kind of cool to see something like that. And let's go ahead. Oh, do we have another caller here? Let's see here. Missed call 1018. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and take this call. Hey, Justin, thanks for calling in. What do you want to talk about?
How you doing? Octane, how's it going?
It's going good. What do you want to talk about, sir?
Well, I actually was calling in about the items, and then you switched target to the items.
That's awesome. Perfect.
Yeah, it really works out. I was looking at some of these items, and they seem. I'm pretty excited about the items. I mean, some of the names I could kind of do without, unpronounceable. Rada Espel, whatever. I kind of get the impression you watched the live stream of Hi-Rez and Bart doing the presentation today.
Yep.
And they were struggling with some of the names, and he was like, "These are getting renamed."
Yeah, exactly. Because it makes, as a caster myself or somebody that does a lot of these podcast shows and content provider, it makes my life hell. It's like, he's got the hide of whatever that is, and that item's great, but I don't know the name of it, and it like completely like devalues you as a person. So it's like, So, anyways, go on. Which item or what items do you want to talk about?
It seems like a lot. I mean, a couple of these items, the Aussie and the Rod of Espelli, can't even say it.
Rod of the ass. Let's talk
are unique items. They're new to the game, but a couple of them are new tier 3s, right?
Correct.
And I kind of think that I like that. I'm pretty excited actually. The Frostbound Amulet, I wasn't expecting them to splinter off the Frostbound Hammer into its own item.
Yep.
To kind of target these individual qualities, and I'm really really excited because my main, I guess if I had to pick a main, is Cupid. I really like Cupid, and I like the idea of specializing some of these items that I pick all the time into these individual support or tank or healer or what have you. You know what I mean?
Yep. This is definitely a really cool item. I like it. The first person that came to mind when I read this, just because of my gameplay type, just like yours, is actually Guan Yu. It gives him physical power, gives him health, but it's a late game item. It's a later game. I should say late game. It's a later game, like your fourth item, give or take. It not only gives you physical power and health, but it also makes your hits slow your enemy for 10% for 2 seconds. So on someone like Guan Yu, I could see it super effective. And the exact same thing as what you're talking about with Cupid, with going ahead and putting the slow effect in there. One, it gives Cupid a little extra health, which is always helpful. Gives you more physical power, but then it puts a slow on, which is great because if you're chasing with Cupid or you're laning directly with Cupid, it's great to have that slow ability. So a really good idea. I actually like that. Cupid didn't come to mind at first, but now that you say it, I could definitely see this as a must-have playing as Cupid.
Yeah, I mean, there's sometimes I don't if I have somebody that's in lane, if I'm laning with a partner, but a lot of times I am stuck with solo lane or I'm dual lane and my partner's like, I'm going to go jungle. And I'm like, thanks, bro. But,
pretty much, right?
Yes. Yeah. But that's the nature of Smite, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I'm pretty happy with a lot of these items. I mean, some of the names, like I said, I could do without, but the passives are exciting, and the specialization is what I'm really, really excited about. And I'm happy that Hi-Rez is taking it in this direction, and I'm curious if you agree.
Yeah, I do. I'm really happy to see more and more items come in, especially kind of breaking off some of the tier 3 items. I think it's a very wise decision. It allows us as players that are not only casual, but also some of those players that definitely like to break down the math and stuff like that, and the competitive side, to go ahead and break down like the best opportunities and the best items for some of these players. And it definitely sets a lot of these players apart. The character builder is going to come into play a ton now. We're getting more and more into items. So if you guys are new players and you want to experiment with the character builder, what items are best for me? Where can I see more attack speed late game? Where can I see physical kind of plateau off? Well, use the character builder in game and start to experiment with it. And then you could port your ideal build, which isn't perfect. It needs to be situational, but at least it's an idea to move towards into the game as kind of your recommended setup. So it's a really good idea. My only concern is that as we start to get more and more items, is it being a little scary for new players. And the reason I say that is my friends of mine a few months back introduced me to try to play Dota. And there's actually a video. There's a video out there of me trying, and I say trying to play Dota because it was a god-awful disaster. Yes. And I'm pretty good at video games. I'm better than the majority of my friends. I can pick it up very good. I played MOBAs, first-person shooters, StarCraft 2. I was at Diamond League, coming into Smite. But Dota, there is so much crap. And
it's overwhelming.
It is. You get into it and you're like, all right, I got this guy. He's hard to navigate and move around. Okay, got to go to a store to buy some stuff. Okay, great. Oh my gosh, the store is huge, and there's stuff everywhere.
Game of Thrones novel trying to get through that.
It is. It's right. So it's like, okay, this item does this. All right, well, what's the difference between this? And it's like, oh my gosh, there's got to be an easier way for the store to be new. Okay, example. You have you do have in game where you have the ability where it auto levels your abilities and auto levels your items. That's fine. And then the next step is you take that all off, you rip off the Band-Aid, and now all of a sudden you have to go ahead and pick things. There needs to be an in-between where, once you turn off the auto-buy, there needs to be, a basic guide for items.
Is there, though? I mean, they have the favorited items by default.
They do. But what I mean is when you bring up the store, there's so much stuff everywhere. It really is. And if you could isolate that down for, a in-between person, where it's right in between, where there's 3 or 4 tabs or just 3 tabs, it would make it a little bit less intimidating because,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, but that's it. That's all I had to rave about.
My question is, when you say that, do you think that is a UI issue where they could just guide the player better, or is it a fundamental game? Are there too many items, or is it a UI issue that could just guide the player to pick a kind of a general cookie-cutter build?
Sure, very good question. There are never too many items. You can have tons of items. What it comes down to is educating and holding the hand of the player. And some people may argue, oh, well, they don't need to. You know, I've been playing Smite for 6 months, blah, blah, blah. I am sorry, but this game is in beta. It is targeted to new players. We need to increase the community so that this game can take off once it goes ahead and launches. With that in mind, education, education, education. We need to have things up on the loading screen. We need to take advantage of the loading screen a little bit more. Make it more educational for new players where you can go ahead and highlight over top of a god someone's playing and it shows you their abilities. It tells you about the abilities. I mean, God, sometimes it feels like you have an eternity you're waiting for the game to launch. That's a great opportunity to educate your new and casual players. Going back to your original question, on top of that, when you're looking in-game and you're looking at the store, it comes down to the store, the UI. You can do things with it. You can educate players a little bit easier. You can make it simpler. You can do a whole like guided system for players that are brand new where it's like, it's baby basic, where it's like, okay, what are you looking for? Attack speed? Click the attack speed button. It's real big. Right here. It's right up on your screen. It's this big. Okay, great. There, we'll pick an item for you for attack speed. Done. Like, they could do these things, and I know a lot of people in chat are like, oh my gosh, no they don't, no they don't. Well, you need to. You really, really need to, because it's super important.
A lot of uneducated players. I mean, you know, I've been playing this for a couple months. I think I've heard you say it a couple times. You've been playing it for almost a year, if not more. And, you know, I mean, imagine how long, like, think back to when you first started and how long it took you to finally, like, catch up and feel like I kind of know what's going on. You know, they could cut that time down incredibly I mean, they have a tutorial on how combat works because it's very straightforward. Click the mouse button, shoot this guy in the face. But picking items is pretty detailed thing. I mean, even still, I'm rank 5, I think, Cupid. Like, I'm not, and that doesn't mean anything. That's just time. But even then, I just, you know, a lot of times I still have to know, is penetration better, is power better, is attack speed better, and I have to figure out, I read forums, I check out Tier Monster.
Great place.
And Hi-Rez could facilitate that. I mean, Dota just did something very similar where they, you know, they put a tutorial in, a new player tutorial, and I'm hoping Hi-Rez does something along the same lines.
Correct, where it's like a required tutorial where you go ahead and to start out the game, you have to play the tutorial. And then it lets you into the game. That is an idea there, which I completely agree. I will say, I forget where I read it the other day, but and I don't know the exact number. I know I'm very close to it, but a person that picks up a game will play the game for 15 minutes. If they feel comfortable, they're locked in, you've sucked them in, you've gone ahead and grabbed another Smite player. But if they're not comfortable, they don't know what they're doing, they're not sure what's going on, they're gone, you've lost an opportunity, they will probably never pick up Smite ever again, and we've lost somebody to the black hole of League of Legends or Dota. So I completely agree. Very, very good question so far. What other questions do you think you want to talk about?
I have one other question. Something I saw on the Reddit, and I'm pretty sure you follow the Reddit, and somebody mentioned that they would like to see, because you brought up item guides as far as building your items out, and I found this as a you know, a conflict I've had when I build it, and I'm like, it's situational, so I'm locked into these items that doesn't really allow for a slot or 2 or 3 or however many extra items past my original 6. Because I replaced my starter item. I mean, I build a starter item because a lot of times I land with a tank as Cupid. Or a lot of players, I start with a starter item, but I replace that, and there's no place for me to quickly find and set aside from my favorite items those couple other items I want to have just as quick access, and I'm hoping that they correct for that soon.
And the big thing is, and this was actually a discussion I had, as I said earlier, guys, I had a discussion, I actually just finished a little earlier today, an interview about almost an hour long with Hi-Rez Bart, and one of the topics that we talked about, it'll be on Reddit tomorrow, guys, so take a look. One of the topics we talked about was what sets Hi-Rez Studios apart from any other publishing company, and the big thing he talked about was the transparency of the community. You can make a recommendation, post it on Reddit, or send an email directly to the CEO or COO, and it gets considered. Whereas, try to send an email to Mike Morheim of Blizzard and let me know when he gets back to you.
He's kind of busy,
Every CEO's busy, but it's making that active decision to be connected to your community, and Hi-Rez is definitely doing that versus other publishers, especially within the MOBA scene, and I think that's going to succeed. If they continue doing that, regardless of how big they get after the game launches, they're going to be rolling in the money, and they're no longer going to have to worry about taking a negative for a game, cough, cough, tribes, But oops, did I say that? But they'll actually. I mean, seriously, I don't know the figures. I don't know if they'll release them prior to beta on the profitability of the game so far versus the amount of investment so far. But either way, that's one thing that comes to mind with me there, and I hope it continues with the transparency.
Real quick, somebody in your chat just addressed my question. Yeah, I understand that there is a guide where you can build a certain amount of items, but there is also there are times where there are some items that in my build I don't necessarily want, but there are a few items that are not in that build. I need more slots, basically, is the point, and it would be nice to allow for some variety in my favorite items. That's all I'm saying. Tosh, it
would be interesting in like your favorite items, and this is just an idea. Once again, throwing it out, you have your items lined up there, and as you get to the third spot within your favorite items, you can have additional items as like your third item. So, for example, let's say you get to your third item, and it lists your items in your build. Yeah. Well, depending on the situation, you can go ahead and like click up or click down to see the additional items that you have selected as the third item, but you can go ahead and move up and down to decide which one you want. So as your third item, you could have 3 additional items kind of in your stash that you could go ahead and move between. So you could be like, okay, I'm getting hammered a lot at this point by a physical god. I need hide of Neven Lion. Bam, it's right there. Oh, in this situation, I need something a little bit more physical. Let's go ahead and go with, anything within their rage or something like that. So,
Rod of Aspilici.
Whatever that new name is called. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I don't want to take up all your time. Thanks for taking my call. Love the show. Love the new art. Thanks for everything.
No problem, man. You have a good day.
Thanks. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin, for calling in. Guys, do appreciate it so far. So there's a whole bunch of new items that we're just kind of talking about here, getting your call in. If you guys are just new to Smite Talk, all the show is about is you guys. You guys call in, you ask the questions, we just discuss it. I ask you questions back. You want my feedback. Well, I want your feedback too. So it's a really cool show focused directly around the community. If you guys are just joining us, the video version will be up on YouTube here shortly. It'll be posted on Reddit, so keep an eye out. It's on my YouTube, youtube.com/the Smite Update. There's several of my shows over there. Also, the interview I talked about with Bart will be on there as well. There's an audio version on iTunes. Look it up, Smite Talk. You can listen to the whole show on your way to work. You can yell at me while you're riding to work about how you disagree or that you agree. There's also an Android version as well. So if you have something like Beyond Pod, you can use the RSS feed. All that's listed. Just go and search for Smite Talk. It's out there. And guys, keep in mind, this is not my only show. I have another show called Smite Update. I did it last night. I have a co-host, Risty. He's a European caster and content provider. And then I have another show on Sundays I do called new show, brand new, partnered with Hi-Rez, called the Post-Game Report. So this is not my only content. So anyways, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump over the items. Not necessarily jump into a ton of nitty-gritty. I just want your questions on those. And we're going to jump into our next topic for tonight. But feel free to call in if you have any other thoughts on anything. So let's go ahead and jump over to our third topic for tonight. And that'll be our final topic, which will be upcoming god changes. So I don't know if you guys are too happy, upset, frustrated with some of these god changes we do have going on. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the big significant ones. So on the art side, Otter got a new card. Yay. It's been a while, so happy to see that. New ground targeters on AO, same thing with Arachne. Now something interesting with the Cocoon on Arachne. We did see a lot of things go on with Arachne recently with her web, with the cripple, stuff like that. Now on Arachne's Cocoon, this ability can now be fired through walls. Okay, if you hit this ability through walls, you are badass. I don't care who you are. If you can play Arachne and hit that ability, OMG. Seriously. I have a hard enough time hitting that ability in lane when the guy's in front of me and I can see him, let alone through a wall. So, pretty cool, Arachne, hey, give the person credit where it's due if they can hit somebody through the wall there. Anyways, on Artemis, we saw some changes here to the Fate ability, which is this is the trap ability. The traps have been modified to make them slightly less visible to enemies. Pretty cool, which I wonder about this because right now you guys know like the enemy trap has that kind of tannish brown look, which kind of blends in to the texture and the coloring on the ground. Well, now it's going to be even more like camouflaged in. So, okay, pretty cool. Let's give a buff. I mean, I would consider that a buff to Artemis. So thank you. We've needed a buff to Artemis. Artemis has been lacking for some time. So happy to see Artemis get a little lovin' from our boys over at Hi-Rez Studios. Let's see here. There were some bug fixes fixed with Athena. We saw Athena get a new card, I guess the Scandalous one. And no, it wasn't showing any nudity or we didn't see any more anime boobs than what... Okay, first off, all of the female gods in Smite do not need to have these giant anime boobs in the first place. Come on now. Seriously? It's not any more attractive. It's a game. Come on now. Let's grow up. Anyways, on top of that, we did see Athena get a new card. I guess they weren't too happy with the way and the direction that was going. Understandable. It happens. No big deal. Anyways, we're not going to point fingers on the designer that put that card together. No comment there. But Athena is getting a new card. So, pretty happy to see that. Now, Bakasura. Now, if you guys watched my post-game report show that I did do on Smite Game on Sunday, I talked about how Bakasura was either picked first or banned first on like over 50% of the games from this past weekend Hi-Rez Weekly tournament. Like, where did this come from? All of a sudden, Bakasura is in, like, huge demand. I like in chat, by the way. What's wrong with the little tatas? You guys are awesome. So, anyways, we saw some changes to Bakasura. The Regurgitate. There were some changes here. The Regurgitation area has been changed to a volume to remove Cripple as soon as the enemy leaves the area. So, there's a little area on the ground when you use this ability, and when you walk out of it, it's done. The Cripple doesn't continue. Makes sense. Same thing with Poseidon. He casts down his Whirlpool. The Cripple is in that area. It doesn't follow you. So they did go ahead and make that change there. This fix was an issue where players would be crippled for a longer than intended time. So they went ahead and made that change there. On top of that, let's see, what else do we have? Regurgitate minions now play a different death animation. Some graphic changes. No big deal. Okay. Now, this is probably the biggest god change from this patch. You ready? You ready? Your Pussycat Bastet had some changes. Right off the back here, she has new ground targeters. Okay, cool. But the big thing is the passive. It's now called Open Wound, compared to what it was called, which was 9 lives. When Bastet hits an enemy with a pounce, Razor Claws, or 9 Tails, which those are the names of her other abilities, she wounds the target for 3 seconds. Okay, pretty cool. So on all those abilities, for her passive, you kind of get a dot on you. And those of you guys that are World of Warcraft fans, you get a dot on you, which goes ahead and, kind of puts that dot on you, kind of like a Warlock. So for 3 seconds, she wounds the target. On top of that, if the target has a wound, those abilities deal additional 15%. So let's say you use your first ability, Pounce. Bam! You automatically she has a wound on you for 3 seconds. Now, if you go ahead and use Razor Claws after that, 15% more damage on top of that, and then it removes the wound. So as soon as you use the second ability, it's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Like, Bastet, you better watch out, guys, because Bastet is coming, and she's going to be strong. So if you guys have any thoughts on any of the god changes, please go ahead and call in. Information's right down here. Call in on Skype. I want to hear your thoughts. We also saw some changes to Chunga, which one of our viewers called in and we talked about briefly for a short amount of time. Chunga went ahead and had the change done on the Moonlit Waltz from 1 second to 1.2. It was at 1.4, then down to 1, and now it's up to 1.2. So glad to see the adjustments there. Hi-Rez, way to go on listening to the community, on viewing your stats, seeing what's going on, and making those changes there. We also saw some reduced damage, so a nerf. So she had a buff to Moonlit Waltz on that, on that stun. And then on Waxing Moon, we actually had a nerf. Early game, 175. Now it's down to 160. And late game, let's see here, I lost my place. Late game, 475. Okay, side note, there is an error in the patch notes, and it almost caught me off guard. It almost knocked me out of my seat. I'll go ahead and post the link in chat. Go ahead and look at Chunga and look at Waxing Moon on the tier 4. So it starts out 175, or it was 175, 250, 325, and then 4,400. It almost knocked me out of my seat. I was like, what? Like I stumbled through my words there. That was definitely a mess up there. It's 440, by the way. So, anyways, late game on Waxing Moon, it now does 460 versus 475. Scared the crap out of me. The 4th tier. I was like, oh my gosh, 440? I was like, yep, GG. Uninstall, game over. Click. On top of that, we did see some changes to our buddy Thanatos, which was the god that did come out the other week. We saw with Soul Reap, we saw the amount of time between firing this ability and the damage occurring was reduced. So there is no longer that delay. It was at 0.6, now it's down to 0.4. So, okay, good deal. Makes sense. I don't play enough Thanatos to know that, okay, this was in huge demand. But you guys do. If you guys have opinions on that, go ahead and call in or post in chat. Do you think that he needed this change on his Soul Reap ability between the casting it and then actually the damage taking effect from 0.4 or 0.6 now to 0.4? Hovering Death, the amount of time between firing this ability and flying into the air. So this is his ultimate, guys. And this is the same. This is the cast time it takes to go ahead and plummet up into the air. Has been reduced. So 1.5 to 1.2. And I don't know the exact timing for Apollo or Thor. Those of you guys that do know it, please post it in chat. Because I feel it needs to be the exact same time as Thor and Apollo. It's an escape. It can be used defensively. Or it's an offensive ability. So either way, it needs to be the exact same time in order to be balanced. Regardless of the fact that he is super squishy, it's kind of unfair that his amazing ultimate that allows him to go up in the air differently. I'd be interested to know if the cast time is the same or if we see 3 separate cast times. And some people may argue, well, one guy is an AD or the other one's an assassin, so the time shouldn't be the same. They're both escapes. So I'd be interested to hear about that, just the amount of time that it goes up into the air. And it looks like we have a call coming in. Let's go ahead and accept the call. Let's see. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, it was a call. Let's see. I missed a call. Come on. There we go. Hey, man. Welcome back to Smite Talk. What's your question or discussion?
Well, I had to call in again because the show's just that awesome. First off, the China
Thank you.
4400s. That's just amazing. But you see that you were mentioning Bakasura and how he's coming back in, and I've been recently playing him again.
Okay.
And some periodically in chat I've posted, since I mostly jungle Loki or Bakasura, and almost all the time it goes for Bakasura. Do you think we're gonna see the same sort of I don't know, I guess fad you could say for Bakasura with other gods? Let's say some of the other ones that aren't as aren't as new, or the older gods that were probably originally on launch or in the closed beta.
What do you mean by the fad? What do you mean by that fad?
Like, sort of, the god being popular for a certain amount of time, and I have the feeling that it's going to go back down again in his popularity, and I think people are just going to get over him, and people are going to figure out how to counter him more.
Sure.
And he's going to be less overpowered as he is now.
Okay, I understand the question there. The big thing that I've noticed with Smite is the meta, and the meta is constantly changing, and a lot of the meta is actually set on a competitive level versus a casual level, and the competitive level trickles down to a casual level. Somebody sees somebody play somebody in a competitive match, oh my gosh, he's so good in jungle, I need to play him. It trickles down to casual. So these type of fads that kind of come in and out with, like, as I talked about here, like I saw a lot of Bakasura going on this past weekend with either bans or picks or stuff like that. I think these fads do come and go. It all depends on the gods that are being introduced. The sad part is we don't see more fads with like Artemis and stuff like that. But we did see Ra starting to make a little bit comeback there. And look back a year ago, Ra was like huge in the competitive scene. Everybody played Ra. Now, granted, you were limited on the support gods that you had, and Ra is a very unique case. He can handle his weight pretty good with the magical damage, but then also has the ability to support very well in lane. So. With that said, with fads, I think it comes down to the meta, and the meta is set by the competitive scene, without a doubt. I think they set the bar, set the ideas, set the strategies.
Yep, definitely.
Any other questions you have for tonight?
I think that's it for now.
All right, man. Well, thanks for calling in, and feel free to call in anytime.
Yep, definitely.
Alrighty, so thank you, Polar, for calling back in. Alright, guys, we're going to talk about another huge change that did occur this past patch, which was talked about today, and that is our boy Ymir. Ymir had some changes done, some graphic changes done, no big deal. Now, on his Glacial Strike, that is his second ability where he hits the ground and the ice crystals shoot up in the air, the spikes. Time between firing this ability and the damage occurring has been reduced from 0.79 seconds. Where the heck did they get 0.79? Really? You could have just said 0.80. 0.79 to 0.5. So a pretty significant change there. So pretty nice to see that. On top of that, and this is probably the biggest one, is Shards of Ice. We haven't seen anything done with this in the longest time. Get ready for it. The ability has been changed so that you can right-click to detonate earlier for reduced damage. So the longer Ymir's in his ultimate, it's like a build-up. It's like a power-up. Boom! The earlier, though, that you go ahead and cast, right-click, it will go ahead and actually, do less damage, but it's quicker, which is pretty cool. Because if you could go ahead and, going back to blink into the fight, boom, pop your ultimate, but right-click really quick, just to go ahead and, because remember when you are within his ultimate region, there is a slow that does occur, a little bit of slow. You could go ahead and do just enough damage, like a quick little ultimate, boom, real quick, in order to just get enough damage to take them down to a level where someone else can polish them off, where Loki or Mercury could jump in, or just enough to go ahead and kill them. Pretty cool to see this. I'd be really interested. I can speak English, I swear. Really interested to see where you can go ahead and port in with a blink, and then just right-click right away. And what is it? Just whooping, and it's to do nothing. I'm really interested to see how that scaling works with his ultimate. The base damage has been reduced. So the amount of damage has been reduced during this because you can cast it faster. So in early game, it does 600. Well, it did 600. Now it does 500. And in late game, it did 1,200. Now it does 1,100. So a little bit significant changes there that we did see. Finally, the magical power contribution has been decreased from 200% to 150%. So, hey, if you give some guy the ability to cast things faster, they have to go ahead and adjust and make some nerfs there to his damage. Completely understandable. I understand. Same thing came with Vulcan. But heads up, Vulcan apparently is getting a huge overhaul. So really happy to hear that. I don't like him. I don't think he fits into the game very, very well. Some people live and love him, but I don't think he fits. I think he could be better. I think there could be some changes. So there is a huge overhaul coming up on Vulcan as well. Finally, and this I am so happy about. Yeah! In your face, people that play John Kui. In your face. John Kui. The percentage of remaining damage done when removing cards early has been reduced. 50% down to 40%. As well, Exorcism. The base healing of this ability has been reduced. Thank you, Hi-Rez. I rage. So if you guys watch me on stream, I rage all the time about John Kui. I rage all the time because he is so strong, which is fine. I don't mind him being strong with damage, but he should not heal as well. You can't be good at two things. Only one. Come on now. So anyways, the base healing of this ability has been reduced from 30, 45, 60, 75, and 90. So early game, it was 30. Now it's 25. Late game, it was 90. Now it's 85. So it's only a little bit, 5. But hey, they could turn that knob a little more. Because if you give that knob to me, I'm turning that sucker way down. Trust me. So pretty interesting there. So that kind of goes over the patch notes there. I want to go ahead and bring on another caller here, Turbo. See what type of things he wanted to chat about before we go ahead and round off the show for today, guys. And then we go ahead and do our 400 gem code giveaway. So let's go ahead and bring Turbo on, see if he's available here. And we'll see if he answers. Alright, let's see if Turbo answers. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, he didn't answer. We'll give him another few minutes. Oh, there he is. Turbo, you there?
What's up, man?
Hey. So you enjoyed the show so far?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well, what do you want to talk about tonight? What do you want to talk about?
I was actually just playing some Thanatos in practice mode because I'm terrible with him, and I'm trying to figure out why Hi-Rez felt like he needed a buff, because we saw in the patch notes that they reduced his casting time, essentially the amount of charging time for his two main abilities.
Yep.
And I felt like they were both really, really strong. And the interesting part is like I play a decent amount of Sobek.
Okay.
I play a decent amount of
what's that guy's name?
Yeah, Neshra.
Yep.
And I never really feel like I have a hard time hitting skill shots, but when I play with Thanatos, I can never hit his one ever. And so it makes it interesting because you've got some really good Thanatos players out there that run really, really high scores. But then you have the general population that just doesn't seem to get him and doesn't seem to play well with him, including myself. And so I think he's got a lot of utility and a lot of usefulness inside of a game.
Sure.
But I don't play him because I'm not good with him and I don't want to make my team rage him. So that being said, I think Thanatos' change is good. I'm just worried that that's going to put him over the edge, and now everybody's going to play him. And now he's, the coin term top tier on gods is going to be, he'll be on that list. So I guess we'll see. So I took notes.
Okay.
Is that I'm a big nerd.
No, go for it. I want to hear everything you want to talk about. I'm here for you.
So I wanted to talk about gods just in first off, and I got a couple notes on some of the other pieces, but for the god changes, first off, I love Arachne, and I've loved her for a long time. And then when they took away my cripple, I haven't played.
I'm happy about it. Some people aren't, but
I'm happy about it when I'm playing against an Arachne, and I'm not happy about it because they took away a lot of her utility.
Yep.
I love the cocoon change. Through wall cocoons is going to be awesome.
Dude, it's badass, but hey, if you can hit it, you deserve it.
Yeah, good point. But for me, most of the time, that cocoon going through a wall is going to be a lot of corner shots. So if you think about some of the things that Rock can do with his beam on somebody running away, think about that as the ability to grab somebody that's on the run away from you, especially with her reduced utility of being able to keep someone in the fight. When they turn around to run away, you've got that in your back pocket, which I think is really cool. So I think you might see people using it as a finisher rather than a starting item or a starting ability within a fight.
Yeah, I didn't actually consider that like that. My first thought was, okay, you want to go ahead and grab somebody from near the tower directly into them capturing the blue buff. Let's go ahead and cocoon it. Well, now that you make that point where it's kind of the whole effect of it is making the cast and making it viable within a jungle atmosphere or lane into jungle. I like it. I think it's a good idea. I mean, why not? I think there should be more abilities that do that. You can leap from jungle into lane and from lane into jungle. Why can't more abilities be like that? I mean, I constantly am doing things like that, trying to cast over or through or around some of the jungle atmosphere. So I think it's a good addition.
Absolutely. What also is really cool is, I don't know, I'd be interested to see how many of your viewers actually saw DM Brandon play Bastet and why we saw the change to the return pounds. Anybody see that?
I didn't know. Which one are you?
Oh my gosh. It was hilarious. So here I am.
Okay.
Just watch him DM stream.
Everybody likes to laugh, especially a DM. Come on now. Come on now.
Yeah, of course.
So what do you got? What do you got?
It's fun watching him rage. Let's be honest.
Hey, I rage a lot, but he rages more than I do, so I'll give it to him.
He jumped with Bastet, immediately started the back process, would buy, and bought in time to return pounce. He would return to his spot across the map.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I've never seen it before.
Yep. I've seen that. I've seen that, and I thought they fixed that, so you couldn't do that anymore.
Oh, so now they changed it again. I guess they fixed it again.
Yep.
So I call that they should have called that the DM Brandon fix because.
Oh yeah, I remember back in the day when Bastet had come out and that pounce ability was there. Where there was this amazing video online where somebody pounced and then ran around the map, and then it was but went all the way across the map and then hit and pounced back. All of a sudden you see Bastet. She's cruising. Flying through the towers, flying through the walls, the bush. She's just cruising along. All right, bam, she's back in the spawn.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
So next up is Chang'e, and I want to talk about Chang'e because
please go for it.
Chang'e is, I don't think she needed any change.
Really?
Because
okay.
Whether you play her in Conquest, whether you play her in Assault, which are two of my primary modes that I play in.
Yep.
I feel like she dominates the game, and
Okay.
I feel like she has a crap ton of healing. She has a lot of utility, and then late game with that ultimate is ridiculous.
Okay.
She can be the difference between a team winning an engagement and a team losing it because of that ult. So just that tiny change in damage is one thing, but the ability to avoid damage for that extra 0.2 seconds, I think we're going to see. I honestly feel like that change is big enough, just like we saw the change with Ao Kong's ult by letting that fire 0.2 seconds faster. Because whenever I play Chang'e and I don't do well with her in a situation, it's because I fire that ability too soon, and I just get hit right at the end of it, and I'm like, crap, I just missed it. That from a just a base response standpoint, where you're like, oh crap, I've got to hit this now, or you're trying to time something, you've got that 0.2 seconds. It's going to give you just that extra little buff to avoid that damage. I think we're going to see her usefulness skyrocket as a result of it, just because it's going to be a lot less. That ability is going to be a lot easier to use for people with maybe like myself with a slower response times to some things.
Sure. No, I completely agree there. I mean it's crazy how 0.2 makes a difference.
Isn't it?
Especially with Chang'e with the Moonlit Waltz. I mean, 0.4 was ridiculous. When it was at 1.4, it was like, oh my gosh. So really happy to see this change going on. I think 1.2 is an appropriate level for her. We'll kind of have to see if that does, though, get scaled down to 1.1 or 1 completely. Yeah.
So that was I did have you pretty much hit the nail on the head with Zhang Kuai. I hated him. But he's another one of those gods that I don't like playing against him, and I don't like playing with him, or I don't like playing as him rather.
Yeah.
And I think because I don't play with him much, I don't know how to deal with him.
Sure.
But when I play with him, I tend to not do well, and when I play against him, that person's always really good. So that's one of those things where, the nerf is going to be good. I've seen him do a lot of healing off of that ability. I don't know if that reduced 5 points of healing is really going to be that much.
Okay.
So maybe it's not enough. What do you think? Do you think it's enough?
I don't think it's enough. I think it's a start. I think they're just going ahead and making that change. Just going to make that little tweak and just go, okay, are we going to see a huge difference or not with this? Is he still going to be really strong with his damage, but also with his heal? So I think this is just a little tweak. Hi-Rez is very good at that. Make a little tweak. Okay, let's come back to it. Make a little tweak. Let's come back to it. I don't think 5 is enough. I would like to see more. I don't mind him having a heal. That's fine. His entire God kit is based off a heal. It just can't be that good. But the big thing there you had talked about, hey, when you play against him, they're always super good. When you play him, you're not as good. That's the biggest recommendation. And I even fall into that. I even fall into this category sometimes too, is people need to play every god. Every god. Just play a little bit of each god so that you understand it. Take a day and be like, okay, today I'm playing John Kui. And that's all I'm going to play, hopefully, depending on your situation. Don't be one of those players that jumps into the game and auto-locks, okay? But if it's available and it works with your team, jump in and just play that god. So that next time you go against him, you know all of his abilities, you know his counters, you know what he's going to build. Because I fall victim to it. I do it a lot. I got my favorites. I'll say I love Anhur. I love Anubis. Don't play Anubis enough because he isn't as much viable. But, I mean, I love Anhur. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I'll be at Legendary with him here shortly. But, I mean, I do that all the time. But the big thing is, make sure you guys play as many gods as you can. I know it comes out of financial situation if you can go ahead and afford the god pack. But if you can afford it, it's a no-brainer. If you've been sucked in or you're addicted to Smite, just get the god pack. It's so much better.
I agree. You know what's interesting about the god pack and what you were talking about there, and I think we'll stray a little bit outside of the
go for it.
Patch notes, and I don't want to delay the giveaway, which I'm sure everybody's waiting for.
That's right, they want it.
Everybody's waiting for the 400 gems, man. So that is one of my biggest struggles with this game right now.
Okay.
I've been playing since August last year.
Okay.
So I've been playing for a decent amount of time. I believe that it went into beta May or June.
Okay.
So
sounds right.
I feel like I've got a good amount of time with the game.
Sure.
So I've had an opportunity to play pretty much every single god, but I find, again, those gods that I'm comfortable with, not only with a comfort level, but also to go into a conquest match and feel like I can contribute to the team. This community is awesome. And I feel like when you sit in a Twitch chat and you're watching a streamer, people are really receptive, very able to help you. I've provided help to some people, which is great. But when you're in game, it's live or die. And if you don't contribute to your team, nerd rage.
Yep.
It's the worst.
Oh yeah. There's BM anywhere you go. Anywhere you go. And it's going to happen. There's no way to get rid of it. They did talk about, though, how they're going to start to be introducing Karma. It doesn't look like they're going to be launching it now, but they're looking into it. So you are going to be like, okay, let's go ahead and give our guy Turbo here a thumbs up. But let's give this other guy who BM'd the entire time a thumbs down. You do have that ability, and I'm interested to see if we start to see a little bit better. And most likely, we won't, but a little bit better in-game communication, a little bit more maturity, a little less rage. I mean, I'm victim to raging. I'll get in chat and be like, are you kidding me? What are you doing? I'll mostly just scream in chat because I have viewers and I know they'll listen to me compared to typing in chat, but versus the person. But regardless, it happens. It happens. You can't play
for the best of us.
You can't play a game where you rely, and trust me, you can't play a game where you rely on other people and not like rage about it. Dude, when I used to play StarCraft 2 by myself, I would rage about myself. So I understand how it works. So really good point. Anything else you want to go over today?
What I wanted to, what was I embedded it here. Oh, so the one thing that I can't get over are the items. So we knew that the items were coming because they warned us of these items.
Yep, yes they did.
What I'm really worried about with these items is that every single one of them is extremely viable in today's meta.
Oh, so yeah, it is. There's huge demand for them.
I mean, think about, for myself, within the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've actually gone outside my comfort zone with normal builds and just tried something new.
Sure.
Just to see how it would work. And that's, whether I'm practicing or in a real game, I wanted to see, okay, I tried this in a practice. I saw the damage differences. I feel like I can play this character different. So I tried something new. And a lot of times when you're in a regular conquest match, that can actually help. But these items, this AC item, first off, is crazy. That is.
Oh yeah.
It's so cheap for what you get. It's unbelievable. But everything else, I feel like what was the big one? Rod of Aselpius. Holy crap, man.
Yeah.
The healing and health regeneration of allies within 70 feet is increased by 15%. I just think about Assault and I'm already getting really, really sweaty because I'm like, I can't believe it's already hard enough to combat multiple healers on a team or even one healer on a team. Yep. Anybody who plays Assault and plays against a Hell, an Aphrodite, or a Ra knows what I'm talking about. It's unbelievable. So I just think that the items are going to be a big game changer for us. People are going to have to play against them differently, and the idea of building against your team with items is even more important now.
Oh yeah, it's going to be another mini. I mean, the bans and picks in game, when you do your bans and picks, depending on what type of game mode you pick, is a mini game. It's a whole mini game, has a whole strategy, everything behind it. Same thing with items, but now we're going to start to see it become even harder.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Always awesome to have you on the show to talk about summing things up a little bit. And I look forward to hearing from you next week.
Sounds good, man.
All right, awesome. Well, guys, this is going to go ahead and bring our show to a close. I know it's so sad. Guys, I said the show was going to be 30 to 45 minutes. We're now an hour and a half into this show. You guys are awesome. I don't mind. I got time. I got all the time in the world. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and move this, take this show, bring it to a close. I'm going to go ahead and go over some last-minute details here. Then we'll go ahead and give our gem codes, and we'll give away a gem code, and then we'll go our separate ways. Seems easy enough. So, if you guys are interested, if you are interested in Smite and not actually playing Smite just yet, but you're interested, you've seen some stuff, you've come across this here, go ahead and go to SmiteGame.com. You can go ahead and follow over there. If you guys are interested in listening to this, the audio version, on your way to work, you're at the gym, you're at work, you want to listen to something about Smite, you don't have the opportunity to turn on like a Twitch channel or something like that, go ahead and go on iTunes or go on your Android app and look under RSS feeds on Android. On iTunes, look on the iTunes store under podcast and type in Smite Talk. Go ahead and type in Smite Talk and go ahead and check that out. The show's on there. Go ahead and please subscribe. Be awesome. And if you are going to be on iTunes, please go ahead and leave a 5-star review and give your feedback on the show. It helps me out a ton. I don't make any money off of this at all. Like, at all. No money. Any donations I get on my own website, it goes right back into the stream. Anything I make on YouTube goes back into the stream. iTunes doesn't pay you for anything. So leave a feedback. Leave a review. I'd love to hear it. And then if you guys have any questions or you want feedback on something, or, hey, I have this build. Do you have any thoughts on it? Or, hey, what are your thoughts on this? But you didn't get a chance to call in. You didn't have an opportunity on Skype, something like that. Email it in, smitetalk@gmail.com, and I'll take a look at it next show. I don't mind whatsoever. Finally, guys, before we do the gem code, I want to let you guys know, if you like what you saw tonight and you want to see more content from me, go over to the website OctaneProGaming.com. OctaneProGaming.com. The live stream is over there. I have 2 different YouTube channels piped into that. My one personal YouTube channel and then another YouTube channel, which is just Smite content in regards to podcasts and interviews and stuff like that. I will be having an interview up on Reddit and also on YouTube tomorrow morning, which will be of Hi-Rez Bart. It's about an hour-long interview, and we talk about esports and also the competitive scene. So let's go ahead, guys, and let's go ahead and jump into our 400 gem code. Everybody wants to win, right? There's one code to give away tonight. It's brought to you by Hi-Rez Studios. They've been generous enough. They said, hey, we like your show. Let's go ahead and give you a gem to give away for it. So tonight we are going to go ahead and give away 400 gems, sponsored by Hi-Rez Studios. So thank you to them. We do appreciate it. I am going to go ahead and put together the keywords. So here's the rules for the giveaway, guys. First rule, you have to be logged into your Twitch account. If you're not logged into your Twitch account, I'm sorry. No luck for you, sir. Second, you have to be a follower of the stream. I'm trying to grow my community, trying to grow my Twitch channel. The least that you guys can do is click that follow button. So please click that follow button. It is a requirement. I can see it when I do the rolling to find out if you're a winner or not. So please go ahead and click that follow button. Finally, the last thing that you have to do is in chat, type in the keyword. The keyword is I love Smite. Go ahead and post in there a few times. I love Smite. That is the keyword for tonight. I love Smite. I love Smite. I love Smite. Go ahead and post it in chat. And what I'll do is, if you aren't familiar with the way that things work, is I have a plugin for Chrome, Google Chrome, that plugs into Twitch and allows you to do this type of giveaway system. And I go ahead and roll a dice. Not physically, but on the system. And it picks one random person that is a follower of mine and that has gone ahead and typed in I love Smite in chat. Keep in mind, you got to be logged into your Twitch account. So, guys, we'll give it about another minute while you guys go ahead and type in for the 400 gem code. I love Smite is the keyword. No hashtag. It doesn't matter if it's caps, lowercase, whatever. Keep in mind, though, if you do it in all caps, my Nightbot will, bam! It'll grab you and time you out. So make sure that you don't do it in all caps, please. Something to keep in mind there. On top of that, guys, just want to say thank you. This is the 3rd week of the Smite Talk. It was kind of an idea I had actually we're at work. I was thinking about it, and I was like, what type of show can I do for the community where the community can call in and give their feedback? Like, there isn't anything great out there. And a few weeks back, we did it with the Smite Update. It's another podcast I do, guys. It goes into more detail about the patch notes. And we did some call-ins, and it was awesome. Like, people love the call-ins. So I was like, okay, how can I combine that into a show? So I did episode 1. We did pretty good. We had about 60 viewers. Wasn't too bad. We then went ahead and did episode 2. I just did episode 2 last week. Had about 80 viewers. Now we're up to 180 viewers live, which is not even the total viewers. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on iTunes. It's going to be on Android. So I want to say thank you to you guys because so far this is by far my most successful show, and we're only episode 3 into it. So thank you guys very much. If things keep going this way, we'll continue to have giveaways every week. So just a heads up there. So guys, let's go ahead and do this giveaway. Congratulations to the winner ahead of time. If you guys don't win, don't worry about it. Check back again. I do giveaways all the time. And my full stream schedule, guys, is over at OctaneProGaming.com. So if you want to find out, hey, when's Octane streaming again? When's his next show? Where can I find the VODs? What's his computer setup here? It looks pretty badass. All that info is over at OctaneProGaming.com. All right, let's go ahead and bring it up here. I do have everything up. I am going to go ahead and roll the dice. So rolling the dice now. And we have a winner. Congratulations to this person. They will have 1 minute to post in chat. If they don't post in chat, we'll go ahead and re-roll and move on to someone else. Congratulations to Dark Skull. Dark Skull, you have 1 minute to post in chat. Congratulations to you, sir. You have won a shiny new car. Or 400 gems. Congratulations to him. He has 1 minute to post in chat. If he doesn't, we move on to somebody else. Let's wait and see. The anticipation's killing me. Is he going to go ahead and post in chat? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, you're sick today, Tom? Or let's see. I'm sorry. Too many apple seeds. You're sick today, and this made your day? Well, that's awesome, man. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm glad, you know. I'm glad. Anyways, Dark Skull. We're still waiting to hear back from you, sir. You have about another 25 seconds, give or take. So we'll go ahead, guys, and wait that out. If not, we'll go ahead and roll again. So it should be pretty good to go. This guy, hey, Dark, I know you, buddy. Well, hey, I hope you do know him, but if he left the channel, it's a no-go, bro. So we'll give it another few seconds, and we will re-roll. Anyways, guys, next week, Smite Talk will start at the same time. It'll be a Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. That's 2:30 a.m. GMT if you're across the pond. All right, guys, Dark Skull is not here. Let's go ahead and roll again. Rolling the dice. Congratulations to RoboCub. 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 You have 1 minute, sir, to post in chat. If you do not, we move on. And there he is. Congratulations to you, sir. I'm going to go ahead and send you a private message. Please keep in mind, if you guys have already won 400 gems, you can't reuse like a gem code. You can't reuse the code again. Like you can't reuse another code. You can only win once. That's not just on my stream. That's just everywhere. So keep that in mind. That if you can't use the code because you already won, pass it on to a friend. I don't mind at all. We will have other gem giveaways in the future. I do have some 800 gem codes as well as some 400 gem codes. And I do have some stuff to give away as well. So anyways, I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. I do appreciate you guys coming out. It was pretty cool. Really, really good show. Lots of good call-ins. Really good discussions. I mean, the conversations are getting better and better week in and week out. So I want to say thank you very much. I am going to go ahead and close out the show, guys. So as I always say, right before we go ahead and leave the show, I'll see you next time. Game on, my friends.